Hello and welcome to Fools in Fiction. The Fools this time have a big update, that's specifically, we found out what the podcasting network does, and this conspiracy goes fucking deep, apparently. So they, run the College of William and Mary. It's kind of, not well defined. They make decisions, I can't tell if they're, presidents or monarchy or whatever.
We can't tell exactly what they did, but we do know that a lot of things have stopped working ever since they left.
Yeah, we've had the first day of class occur 3 separate times.
Yeah,
my desk is fucking piling up with syllabi.
Yeah, they just can't stop giving us syllabi.
Yeah, so I at least know the attendance policy of everything. So we were okay, so we have to assume their role. And using ancient nerd magic, as well as the Griffin himself, we were able to kind of supplant their roles. And since there are 2 of us, we were going to become the William and the Mary.
Yeah.
But Finn and I had...
Excuse me.
Oh,
Excuse me.
Finn's being killed by too much fire. Finn and I had the same idea, and we both chose Mary. And so we are now the College of Mary and Mary.
Yeah, M&M. That's our school now.
I'm really worried that we're gonna get sued by Hershey or Mars or whatever, who owns M&Ms.
Which company that is?
We're older than them, by a lot. And also, ours was through magic, so I think we have a better case.
In what way are we older than M&M's?
This school was founded in 1693.
I thought you meant the 2 of us.
No, incorrect.
Yeah, that's not true.
Oh god, you gave it to me. Pardon me.
I just had a big burger from Calf, and it's going down.
It's going with the fight though.
Yeah. Anyway, now that we have updated you all on the Mary and Mary situation, we have a fairly normal episode. It might be a little short, but we wanted to talk today about Scooby-Doo because we saw in Skiffy we saw a Scooby-Doo movie.
It was Scooby-Doo on Zombie Island.
Yeah.
And so what happened before/during/after. So before, I was I wonder if I can list all of the Scooby-Doo narratives in which there's real magic. And so I did that as a mental exercise. And then
I don't think you succeeded.
No,
I was looking at the list at lunch. There's 183 or something.
Huh? Okay, I didn't list all the episodes. I just listed most of the movies that I could remember. Mm-hmm. But that's a fair point. And also, I didn't know it was that many. Oh my god. But yeah, as you can tell, it got brought up in Skiffy, and so we were well, we have to know now.
Yeah, I'm actually gonna check on Scoobypedia to make sure I got this right. 262.
Holy shit!
So the big surprise here was that there's just when we were watching this movie and it started to spoilers for Scooby-Doo on Zombie Island started to be revealed that the monsters were real. I was wait, does that ever happen in Scooby-Doo? I watched Scooby-Doo as a kid and I didn't remember the 262 or whatever real monsters that were there. Mm-hmm. So we were thinking about from a world building perspective or a storytelling perspective, how does this all work? Having a show where it seems like the whole premise is that there are no real monsters, but then there's 262 real monsters throughout the course of the show.
Yeah. So the 262 is not, it is correct, but it is misleading, I think, for our purposes, because it counts it counts all of the monsters from Scooby-Doo 2 Monster Unleashed, but I think
it's not episodes, it's the actual number of monsters?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
So, which I mean, that's still a lot, but I think, I agree with you though that the narrative part is really interesting, where they set up it's always some guy in a mask, and then they're like, except for those times that real-ass magic exists.
So I wanted to do the Scooby-Doo characters, like, remember that? Or another question is, do they expect the audience to think that the Scooby-Doo members, the Scooby Gang members remember that? Or, like, is it so episodic that we just assume that everything is, like, wiped between the episodes?
They get neuralized at the end of an episode. I don't know. Because there's some continuity between Scooby-Doo things. I wish we had Sean on for this.
Yeah, Sean knows a lot about Scooby-Doo.
So there's some continuity between them, but there are other ones where it's definitely not. But I think, like, Ghoul School and Reluctant Werewolf and it's the one that's the Ghost Brothers, but I don't remember what they're called.
I don't know if I've seen that one.
Anyways, those all are in the same continuity because it's the red shirt Shaggy continuity. But the big thing for me is, like, there's still a surprising amount of times where it's just like a fucking cryptid. Like, at the end of the Scooby-Doo and Loch Ness Monster, they imply that the Loch Ness Monster is real.
Right, I do remember that.
And I believe they do the same for the Abominable Snowman. I
think I saw that on the list.
A dragon exists in the Samurai Scooby-Doo Samurai movie or whatever it's called. So that's one thing that really got me, is that, like, sure, they're ghosts and stuff, but also the Scooby Gang is just like a bunch of cryptozoologists.
Yeah, there's an interesting distinction, I think, that's here, which is between, like, just the setting having mystical elements, or, like, there are monsters around, versus, like, the final person they unmask, who they think is probably a human, is actually a monster.
Oh, that's
like,
interesting.
I wonder if how much shorter that list, the 262 list, would be if we talk about, like, in each individual story arc, whether or not they're right and it is a person, or they're wrong and it is a monster.
That's so, like, in Scooby-Doo 2, it would be a real person, because it's a real person behind the creation of the monsters.
Yeah. Like, regardless of the actual, like, kind of fantastical setting of the thing.
And in, like, Scooby-Doo, the first movie where Scrappy is stealing people's souls. Spoilers for the first live-action Scooby-Doo.
I don't know how to analyze that. Is Scrappy-Doo a human? Is he a person? Does he have rights? Is he a corporation? I think Scrappy-Doo is a corporation.
I hate that idea.
It feels like one.
But the point, I mean, Scrappy-Doo is as fantastical as Scooby-Doo.
Yeah.
And everyone in the universe...
That's crazy, because it seems like the whole part of the show is, like, skepticism, but they have a fucking, like, talking dog, and like, no one knows, no one notices.
Yeah, I really don't know how to jive with Fred, or especially with Velma being like, there's no such thing as monsters.
Because, like, you think, because Velma's always right, supposedly.
Yeah.
And, like, that's how she's portrayed, but, like, she's wrong. What does that mean?
Scooby-Doo is a monster and should be killed.
The real monsters was Scooby-Doo along the way. That did not work.
No.
The dog we had
the whole time. You're not doing great at this one, Chief. You're batting 1,000.
So there's this. I in my research over lunch learning about this. Mm-hmm. I found out there's this kind of divide in the fandom.
Okay, really?
I read, like, someone had, like, written a short essay trying to argue one side.
What side did they try to argue?
So they were trying to argue. I'm trying to remember which one it is. I read this very fast. They were mostly pointing out the two issues. And then, like, the second half of the essay, or they were pointing out the two sides. The second half was arguing their own, or not their own third one, but which one aligns with it. Mm-hmm. But the idea was that the two kind of camps of Scooby-Doo fans are ones that think the essence of the show is about skepticism in the face of scary old white men with money.
Okay.
And, like, or not skepticism in the face of them, but like the idea that what I'm trying to say, that the cause of the problems in the show is due to them, right?
These white men.
Yes.
Okay.
The rich white man, like Scooby-Doo character.
All right. So Scooby-Doo is either biting socialist commentary
or it's like a spooky fantasy mini adventure with like high school friends.
Okay. So, what do they argue is the core?
I think they said it was the spooky.
I think so too.
Spooky one.
Because I think that a lot of the plot is I think a lot of the reasons why the white people dress up as scary monsters is like incidental.
What do you mean?
Like, so the way a Scooby-Doo show is crafted is that Scooby-Doo and the gang stumble upon a mystery, and they interact with the spooky thing like 3 times, and each time there is a clue, and then the 4th time they trap the monster.
They have to use what they've learned from the clues to...
No! So, everyone in Scooby-Doo is dumb except Velma.
I did forget about this.
So, Velma has to use the clues.
Yes, okay.
But Fred has to trap the monster.
Right.
Using Scooby and Shaggy as bait.
Daphne is there.
Usually she gets kidnapped.
Right, yeah.
So, I think that since the bulk majority of Scooby-Doo, like, the occurrences are spooky monsters, and it is only at the end that it is a rich white guy who wants real estate. That
real estate is also a key ingredient.
Yeah. I think that, therefore, Scooby-Doo at least has more monster vibes.
Like genre-wise, experientially.
Yeah. But I also think that the idea of someone being behind it is important, but I also think that
that's not what they're hoping kids will get out of the show.
Yeah, but I also think a really interesting part of it is that someone being behind it doesn't have to be like just some random guy. There can be mystical elements. So like in Zombie Island,
I thought you were going to say Return of the King. Finale to the Scooby-Doo cinematic universe.
When King would come back.
Scrappy-Doo.
No! He's a corporation and a king. I hate this. So, in Scooby-Doo on Zombie Island, like, there is still a nefarious plot.
Mm-hmm.
It is just the people in charge of the plot are also furries.
Right.
Spooky furries.
But the fact of them... Or does the fact that they are spooky furries, like, is that necessary for the arc of the thing? I think it is near the end.
I hope that picked up on the mic. Elijah became a ball of rage in the other room.
I don't know what point I was trying to make.
That whether or not they're being spooky matters. And maybe. I think it matters in some narratives. I don't know if it necessarily matters in Zombie Island.
It definitely felt like there was a big pivot when we discovered that all this stuff was real.
Yeah. I like Zombie Island being real. I think it's neat that I mean, actually no, I will say them being real is important to the conceit because the idea is that Daphne and Fred have a TV show where they're trying to find real things.
Right.
And so the fact that this is real is important. I think other things, like, what's the alien one?
I don't think I've seen it.
Okay. Very briefly, it's a movie where a bunch of government workers are pretending to be aliens to try and scare people off and buy real estate or whatever.
Oh, yes. Okay, I remember this. I remember.
All right.
Yeah.
And so at the very end, we find out that Scooby and Shaggy's girlfriends are actually aliens from another planet. that came to Earth and disguised themselves as humans and had to leave. And so the big thing for me on
I think I see where you're going.
Is I, on the one hand, was like, oh, that's cool that, you know, it is aliens. But on the other hand, I was like, did this need to happen? Like, I don't...
It adds a kind of cool flavoring to it, if anything. And I think it shows that that there being absolutely no magic or mystical elements or monsters is not, like, a key ingredient in Scooby-Doo. Because, like, if this story is based around it was really government people, but then there were also aliens, then that's...
So there's, like...
Kind of breaks that
There
down.
is some lore... or some movies that are like that play really oddly with it. So Scooby-Doo Abracadabra-Doo, I believe is what it's called. Pardon me. The point is that there's this whole magic school, and they had a founder that was magic and had a griffin, and there were ghosts and everything.
So far, this sounds exactly like I almost said William and Mary, but Mary and Mary.
Yeah, we are no longer everything gets signed Mary and Mary.
Yeah.
Good Lord, if I burp one more time. All right, well, I did it. I didn't have time.
What do I do now?
I didn't have time to set up my ultimatum.
Saved by the burp. Ironically, it's like when you run out to a wave and you've gone so far, like a huge wave, but you've gone so far that it doesn't hit you and it hits people behind you.
Yes,
that's what it was like.
That is. No, so like in Abracadabra-Doo, like they.
It's a weird tangent.
It's such a big pivot. They set up like that there is real magic, and then it's just a fucking lie. Like it's not real. Like, the magic school we always kind of knew wasn't real. We always knew it was, like, a performance thing. But their founder, Discount Merlin... Is he Werlin Merlin? No. Werlin Merlin's the guy that owns it currently, I think. Anyways, Discount Merlin, like, had a staff and controlled Griffin. But it was just old-timey robotics, which is a bigger... fucking leap of logic than this man actually had a griffin. It was this man in like the 1400s made robot griffin parts.
Yeah, that's what that's one of the big things I was talking about is that people felt like it's become like newer Scooby-Doo relying more and more on its man in a mask. Mm-hmm. Like relying on that as a gimmick requires them to. Like, in order to keep it fresh requires them to, like, introduce, like, bizarrely advanced technology.
Yeah. That's one of the interesting things for me is that it, like, my disbelief is suspended more that some fucking dude made robots in the past than there is an actual griffin.
So, having, like, an actual griffin, or, like, just, like, in general... the culprit be a real monster kind of maybe like releases a bit of that tension and gives them a bit of a break from having to
and this is not like I
add some real like story-wide tension.
So I think the Scooby-Doo movies that are out there's like a huge variation on how good I think they are. Specifically how like I think what movies can do is not only set up like more interesting monsters, but also set up a more interesting payoff in the end. So like the payoff in Zombie Island is that they're like real, and not only are there real zombies, but like the people that were being nice to us this whole time are behind it and nefarious.
Yeah, it felt like we actually got some sense of the characters.
Yeah.
Of the non-player characters, of the non-Scooby gang.
Yeah. And so Scooby-Doo and Camp Scare, I think is what it's called. And then Scooby-Doo and Big Top something. It's the circus one. Both of those have pretty interesting setups with the like having clues that are pretty obvious, but not in a way that's like insulting, in a way that's actually like setting up multiple things. So like in did you see Knives Out?
No.
Okay. I always forget who in this friend group is. then like in most good mystery things, they'll set up a bunch of threads tying to like each person and making everyone a suspect. And so they do a really good job of that in the circus one, and I think they do a pretty good job of it in the Camp Scare one. But there's just some like really interesting world building in the movies with them being long.
It just occurred to me I hadn't really consciously thought about. I mean, it seems obvious, but I hadn't thought about Scooby-Doo as a mystery, just because I'm like, when I was a kid and watching it, I was not like, I didn't even attempt to figure it out. Yeah, I was just too dumb.
So that's one of the really, really interesting things is that depending on what you're watching, it is either heinously easy to figure out or fucking impossible. There's like there are episodes that are based on Velma knowing what something is just by looking at it, and we couldn't possibly know that. But then there are also things that are like the first episode of Mystery Incorporated. It tries so hard to frame someone for it that you almost don't believe it, and you immediately go for like the second suspect, who it is. But Scooby-Doo is one of those weird mysteries where you don't have to try to solve the mystery for it to be entertaining. And this might sound
that's a really good point.
Like Sherlock Holmes for me. You know, some of the best mystery writing that ever existed. But if you read Sherlock Holmes without trying to solve the mystery, it loses something, in my opinion.
Whereas Scooby-Doo
where
Scooby-Doo is much better than Sherlock Holmes, case closed.
You know what? I think you got a point there. No, my thing is, like, with Scooby-Doo, I can just sit and watch the gang. And I think that's another thing, is that the chemistry between characters in Scooby-Doo is so established and so, like, I don't want to say good. Not because it's not good, but because, like, I want to find a more, like, accurate or surgical descriptor.
Oh, yeah. It's entertaining. I don't know.
Yeah, but it's, like, it's believable.
They seem like a friend group.
Yeah. Which is like a dynamic I love to see. So there's some I really enjoy like sitting back and watching a Scooby-Doo show, even if I'm not trying to solve a mystery.
Yeah, I think that having this kind of goes back to the whole possibility of a real monster idea. If you, like me, are a dumb child watching Scooby-Doo and you're not smart enough to try and figure out who did it, the question you can ask instead that you can default back to is the monster real?
Yeah.
And it's like a much like more kind of basic question, but sometimes it turns out yes, and so it makes that kind of watching more rewarding as well. It like there's a whole other angle you can enjoy it from.
There's so interestingly enough, there's a microcosm of this in one of the Scooby-Doo media that I just now thought about, where Shaggy and Scooby... So, like, in general, Shaggy and Scooby are like, it's a real monster. And then it's usually not a real monster. And everyone goes, Shaggy, Scooby, you absolute fucking buffoons. So, in A Pup Named Scooby-Doo, which is one of the series of shows, there is a character called Red Herring. Like, that's his name. And so, Fred is always of the opinion that no matter what the clues are, Red Herring did it. A Pup Named Scooby-Doo is also definitely meant for a younger audience. Like Velma is like, do you know who did it? Here are all the clues we found.
God, if only Velma did that in the actual show, they would always be safe.
Oh my!
But instead, she has to hold it back for narrative suspense. Why does she do that? Is she just evil? Is Velma the villain? Is she trying to kill them all?
God, I did not mean to stumble onto this crackpot theory.
Wait, let us actually pause for a second. Why does Velma not tell them? Because she knows the answers.
Not
like the
always.
Majority of the time.
So I'm just going to answer the question for when like Velma is the one who holds all the cards, and
is it because she thinks they're safe enough that it would be kind of fun to figure it out?
I also would argue that like knowing who did it while they're not tied up and the cops are there is, like, not important. And perhaps even a bit distracting. And also, it would be kind of fucking weird for Velma to just be like, it's this guy, and then they unmask him and it's someone else, and Velma's like,
So the real secret is Velma has no idea. She's just got to maintain her reputation. I don't believe this.
I don't think that's
This
true.
is my fan theory.
I think it's I think it's that Velma doesn't want to falsely accuse someone.
That makes a lot more sense.
Or distract the Scooby Gang.
Yeah, you make a very good point.
Okay.
I think that's the actual answer.
All right. So my original thread was that in one episode of A Pup Named Scooby-Doo, it is red herring. And specifically, the episode is about how everyone is getting pissed at Fred for suspecting it's red herring. So they're like, you can't say it's red, like, you can't even think it. Like, at the very end, they reveal it's red herring, and Fred, like, turns into a thermonuclear bomb and kills everyone with his vindication.
I want to see that episode. That sounds great.
It's so good. But I think it's really interesting that the show kind of prompts you to always ask if it's real with Scooby and Shaggy, and even in that prompts you to kind of believe in stuff that your logical brain goes, this isn't right.
Yeah, so I guess it's both, it kind of advocates both skepticism with Velma, but also keeping an open mind with Shaggy and Scooby.
I think it, like, as a kid, it prompts you to be like, oh my god, look at all this cool stuff. Like, live in the moment. But as an adult going back to Scooby-Doo, it reminds you that white people are always the enemies. They're always in it for the money.
Unless it's actually a monster.
In which case, just let the cryptid be itself.
Yeah, and
unless the cryptid is killing people in Zombie Island. In which case, they just kind of killed 3 people, now that I'm thinking about it. Wait a minute.
Or were the zombies kind of already dead?
Yes.
Okay.
They were dead. They had their life force drained. They were fucked. You could not save them.
You're saying the furries killed them, not...
No, they killed the furries.
Right. They did.
They aged to fucking dust.
I guess that was gonna... So this is the trolley problem of the...
Would they have eventually died anyways?
Well, if you... Is it... Or no, not the trolley problem. This is a causing harm versus allowing harm situation.
Okay.
Well, never mind, we don't have time to get into this. It has to do with the moon sundial.
Well, so the point, very briefly, I think.
Okay.
The thing is, like, if they had they didn't. Well, but they hindered the cat people from draining their
So if you stop someone from draining people's life forces, you don't kill them. You're saving other people.
Okay,
yourselves.
But they still killed 3 people.
How?
They pinned them down and used voodoo magic.
Oh, you're right. They did do that.
Reminder that voodoo magic casually exists in this universe, and we don't talk about it. They're just like, we made voodoo dolls of y'all. That's my awful offensive Creole accent. And we're just like, okay. All right. Anyway. I think we wrap this up by saying that Scooby-Doo appeals to the kid and the adult in all of us.
I've got a better idea. We wrap this up with haiku dream interpretation.
Oh, son of a bitch.
However, this week you get your revenge because I have not written one. So I'm going to write it live on air.
Okay.
Based on a dream I had, I think last night.
Okay.
So I'm going to do my thought process out loud.
All right, I'm going to look at some porn right now. For listeners. Incorrect. That's not what I'm doing.
Auditioning. Let's hear my internal monologue. I was auditioning. No, that's 6. What's another word for
tried out
for a, but I want to make it so each line has a consistent thought in it.
Okay.
Trying out for it. Oh my god. I had auditioned.
Okay.
I had auditioned for a role in Star Trek. For a role in TOS.
I thought it was going to be TV Star Trek for a second.
But they dissed me. No, I have only one syllable left to finish the story. They dissed me because... No, that's 5.
Hold on.
What if I just end it? You found a water.
This is my water.
Okay.
This is the water that I freeze half of, so I have cold water always.
Okay, so what have I got? I had auditioned for a role in TOS, but the workplace there is no way I can possibly finish this thought in this line. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to do a cliffhanger, and you have to continue.
Have to resolve it?
Yeah.
Okay.
I was dissed because. Okay. This is my haiku.
So
there is a correct answer, so you can be wrong here.
Okay. Am I being shamed for being wrong?
We'll see.
All right.
So, okay. It is, I had auditioned for a role in TOS, Star Trek the Original Series. Mm-hmm. I was dissed because...
Not only did you forget all your lines... Shit. Hold on. Not only did you forget... Wait, hold on. So not only did you is one line.
Not only did you. Yeah.
Right. Show up unprepared
to act.
I do like to act. Huge fan. Thank you for completing that. So not only did you show up unprepared to act.
Not only did you show up unprepared to act.
But also... But you were... No! Son of a bitch! Hold on. Not only did you show up not knowing your lines. No, that's still 7. I want to... Alright. I have to have 6 syllables in the second one, because it has to end with but. So, not only did you show up completely unaware, but you were also dead.
Solid. That was not the correct answer.
No, son of a bitch. What was the correct answer?
It was misogyny. I was a woman in the dream.
Were you auditioning for a female part?
I don't know. I don't remember.
Oh, okay. Oh my god. I don't know why. Dude, I could never in 1,000 years have guessed that. Alright.
It was a strange dream. Alright, it's time to wrap up. Oh my god, we should do our plugs. I don't think we did that last time.
No, we didn't. Like idiots.
So email us at foolsandfiction@gmail.com. I'm going to count the number of spam emails we got. By the way, we just somehow the floodgates of spam opened.
While Finn is doing that, also check out the Reddit at r/foolsandfiction. Also listen to the last screamings of the network. There's still some stuff that has been uploaded. We will eradicate them all soon.
159.
What?
In the last week.
Holy shit. You go, guys. Way to go. Get us the spam.
I don't know what you
plugged the
said.
network, and I've plugged the Reddit, and you've plugged
the email.
Right.
Leave us a review on iTunes. Leave us a rating.
That's the one I always forget. I think we endure the custom. Goodbye. Please, for the love of God, turn the podcast off.